Shalom Leva to our family and friends, and a shout out and a mazel tov to Ezi Waxstock on his recent engagement to Shoshana Levi. May you build a bayit neman b'Yisrael b'simcha of Ezrat Hashem. We read this week's Parsha in Parashat tzav. We read a very special Parsha, the third of the four Parshiot, Parashat Parah, which talks about the Paraduma. The Paraduma is famous for being the chok, the mitzvah that we don't understand. And when you think about where we first see Parashat Parah, it's not in Parashat Chukat, it's in Rashi. Rashi discusses Parashat Parah in Bishalach. In Bishalach, after we left Mitzrayim, after Kriyat Yamsuf, we get to a place called Mara, and the waters were bitter, and Kadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe, throw a staff into the water and change the bitter waters to being sweet waters. And it says there, Sham Sam Lo Choku Mishpat V'Sham Nisau. In that very place, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave them Chok u'Mishpat. They gave them mitzvot. And Rashi says, which mitzvot did we receive at Mara? We received a Chok, Paraduma. We also received Shabbat and Kibbud Aveim. So I thought to myself, what do these three have in common? And what can we learn about Parashat Parah? Parashat Parah, Chok, Paraduma, is something that our minds can't really comprehend. It's also very confusing. It doesn't seem to make sense. Just like at Mara, the bitter waters became sweet, so too a person who would be dealing with the Efer Parah, who would prepare the Efer Paraduma, if he was tahor, he would become tameh. So and whereas that same person preparing this Efer, when that Efer is sprinkled on to the tameh person, he becomes tahor. That's the chok. It makes no sense. Why should a person who was tahor become tameh and a person who's tameh become tahor? This doesn't seem to make much sense. But on a philosophical level, I asked a bunch of people. I haven't yet gotten the answer that I'm looking for. There must be some. We generally say that we don't hold chateh k'dei sheyizkeh chavercha. You should not do a sin in order to prevent your friend from doing a sin. We don't lower our level in order to bring up somebody else. And yet, we see by Paraduma that a person is told to make the Paraduma, the Efer Paraduma, and that person who is tahor becomes tameh in order to make someone else tahor. Why would it be? This is a chok to me. Why would it be that a Kadosh Baruch Hu would ask us to make ourselves tameh in order to make someone else tahor? It's a very, very big question. And then I thought, let's go back to Bishalach. Bishalach had these three. This is right before Bishalach is before Yitro. Before we received the Torah, we received three mitzvot at Mara. We receive Kibbud Aveim, Shabbos, and Paraduma. Why these three? And I thought and think, maybe perhaps, that these three really have something in common. That all of these three have something in common. What is Shabbos all about? Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world. We recognize that a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you gave us life. And when he created the world, he took away from himself Kivyachol. He was mitzamsem himself to make room for us. That's a self-sacrifice so that we could live. Kibbud Aveim, so a father and mother raising their children, they sacrifice a lot so that this child can come into being. A mother certainly goes through great pain, and a father and a mother financially, and they lose sleep, they lose, their focus is no longer on each other, now that's on this child. It's a sacrifice so that a child can come in. Same thing, Paraduma, we sacrifice our level of ruchnius in order to bring someone else up. All of these three are at Mara after Kriyat Yamsuf, before we receive the Torah. And perhaps these are the first mitzvot. These mitzvot are an introduction, a preface to receiving the Torah. Zot chukat Torah. This doesn't say Zot chukat ha-para, rather Zot chukat Torah, the whole Torah. Receiving the Torah, we have to understand when we receive the Torah, it's not about us. It's about what we can do for others. And even if we have to sacrifice in order that someone else should have, that's what the Torah wants from us. So Bezrat Hashem, Ezi, as you're entering your marriage, and all of us, As we enter any relationship, we know that we have to sacrifice for the other, and this really is Chukat Torah. This is what the Torah is all about. By giving to others, even lowering ourselves sometimes, in order that it should be better for others, Bezrat Hashem, we should internalize this message of Para Aduma, and the chok, this idea which doesn't necessarily make sense, should really be a part of every part of our lives. Shabbat Shalom to all of you.